Despite severe sanctions, the EU still does business with Russia. Despite the EU's efforts to impose economic sanctions on Russia, commercial activities between the two regions continue. The EU's concerns about the impact of these sanctions on global supply chains and their reluctance to endure heavier economic impact have contributed to successful lobbying efforts. However, reports suggest that these measures may not be sufficient to deter Russia's military activities in Ukraine. In 2023, Donald Trump officially indicted in New York. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has been indicted following an investigation into hush money paid to adult film star Stormy Daniels. This makes him the first former U.S. president to face criminal charges, even as he runs for another race to return to the White House. Trump has denied the charges, calling it politically motivated, but has not provided any evidence. He has also called on his supporters to contribute to his legal defense fund. Specific criminal charges against him are yet to be known, and the indictment may be unsealed by a judge in the coming days. Trump will have to go to Manhattan, New York to get his fingerprints and other procedures done at that time. He is currently in Florida. The charges stem from an investigation led by prosecutor Alvin Bragg of Manhattan, New York, which could shape the 2024 presidential election. Despite the indictment, Trump has previously stated that he will continue to run as a Republican presidential candidate. German inflation eases less than expected in March. German inflation eased in March due to lower energy prices, but still exceeded expectations, putting pressure on the European Central Bank to tighten monetary policy further. Food prices rose rapidly, while the decline in inflation was due to the slowdown in energy prices. However, the ECB is concerned about the impact of high energy costs on the broader economy, as firms have boosted margins and workers are increasing their wage demands. The labor market's tightness has led to an increase in workers' bargaining power and wage growth. As a result, the ECB may raise interest rates at least twice more. Bank borrowing from Fed's discount window eases from record, but jitters persist. Banks are still borrowing from the Federal Reserve's discount window to boost liquidity and strengthen their finances, with borrowing down to an average of $105 billion per night. Borrowing from the Bank Term Funding Program has increased to $64.4 billion. President Joe Biden has called for stricter regulatory measures on banks, while investors are closely watching bank lending trends and deposit flows to gauge the sector's health. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell suggests tighter credit conditions could substitute for rate hikes. U.S. natural gas storage down by 47 BCF last week versus forecast of 54 BCF. EIA. Last week, utilities withdrew 47 billion cubic feet of natural gas from storage for heating and electricity generation, lower than the expected 54 BCF. The current U.S. gas inventory is 31% higher than last year's balance and 21% higher than the 5-year average. Benchmark natural gas futures on the New York Mercantile Exchange's Henry Hub were down nearly 3% due to the smaller than expected demand for the fuel.